Hey, Peter Tomlinson here again. This video will be seventh chords in C, part 2. All right, and we'll be looking at the third and fourth lines, putting some three-note voicings into action so that we can play our familiar 2-5-1 chord progressions and use them as accompaniment to melodies in our right hand. Okay, these boil these chords down to their essentials. So we've left the fifth out because in most cases the fifth is not quite as essential as the root, the third, and the seventh. So if you're looking at the third line of seventh chords in C, you'll see two examples of a 2-5-1. The first one we're calling, in quotation marks, the A voicings. For no particular reason, and the best keys for these voicings are the keys B flat through F. So if you have a 2-5-1 in the key of E flat, you're probably going to want to use the A voicings for that three-note voicing series. It's going to put your chords in a good register. That's kind of the idea. All right, it's somewhat subjective and you can break the rules, but it works quite well. Okay. So, roots, thirds, and sevenths. For the A voicing, the 2 chord and the 1 chord both have the root on the bottom, and it's much easier to see the chord with the root on the bottom. So I'm going to demonstrate this 2-5-1 in the key of C major. All right, the 2 chord in the key of C is going to have a D root. I'm sorry, get the volume up here. It's going to have the D root. Then a minor third, and a minor seventh. And again, it's too bad the intervals have the same names as chord names sometimes, but there we are. Anyway, root, third, and seventh for D minor seventh. Then the 5 chord is flipped around, 7, 1, 3. Now here's a little tip for you. Any chord that has the root in the middle may be a little bit more challenging to see that voicing. So start with your second finger, your pointer finger. Put that finger on the root of the chord, in this case it's G, and then fill in around. I'm going to put my thumb on B, that's the major third, and I'm going to put my 3 finger on F. That's the 7th, okay? 7 to G7. I realized that I was probably shouting that whole time like I'm talking to the class. Not really talking to the class, but I'll try to stop shouting. D minor 7 to G7, okay? And then the 1 chord will be spelled 1-3-7 again. Okay, in this case, the root, the major third, and the major seventh. Sometimes it's preferable to substitute the 6th of the chord instead of the major seventh, and that's going to sound like this. It still functions as a really nice sounding 1 chord. Here it is in context. It's a nice chord for variety. Also, it solves one little problem in terms of accompanying the melody. If the melody happens to be the root of the chord and you want to strike the chord at the same time, you're going to get this rub here like that. You may not want that, especially if you're playing for a singer or something like that. So a nice solution is to simply replace the 7th with the 6th. And you get a really nice sounding chord that accompanies the melody really nicely. Okay, I'll do this quickly in the key of D also, all right? 2 sharps in the key of D. Okay, I'm going to remember that F sharp and C sharp are in my key signature. Now I'm going to name the chords in a 2-5-1 in the key of C. The chord names are going to be E minor 7, that's the 2nd step of the scale, and the chord type for the 2 chord is a minor 7th. Then A7, that's the 5th step of the scale, and the chord type for the 5 is dominant 7th, okay? Just the letter name followed by 7. and then D major 7th. Okay? Now I've reviewed my scale. I know the chord names that I'm looking for. Let's see if I can apply these chords, all right? Here's the root, the 3rd, and the 7th. E, G is the minor 3rd, and D is the minor 7th. Okay? Now I'm going to go to my 5 chord. Oops, I goofed. I did that on purpose, okay? I forgot the C sharp in the key signature. Okay, sometimes playing these chords with your thumb on black keys, you're really going to want to shift your hand way up into the keyboard so your thumb can reach those notes easily, okay? E minor 7, A7. Okay, if you're having trouble finding the chord with the root in the middle, put your 2 finger on the root, fill in above with the major 3rd, fill in below with the minor 7th, and lots of repetitions, okay? And then finally D major 7th, 1, major 3, major 7th. There it is. I can substitute the 6th if I want to, all right? Here's the chord progression again. All right, 2 examples of the A voicing. Now I'm going to do a couple examples of the B voicings, okay? And again, used to keep our chords in a nice sounding register, not too low where they sound real muddy, and not too high where they get in the way of playing the melody at the same time. Okay? So if you scan down to the second half of the line there, A minor 7, D 7, G major 7th. I use the key of G major as an easy illustration of what we're looking at for the 2-5-1 using the B voicings. Okay, here we start with the A minor 7. That's going to be the second, the 2 chord in the key of G major, right? And there's that pesky 7th on the bottom of the chord again. All right, so I'm going to put my 2 finger on the A, that's the root of the chord, and fill in above and below. All right, C natural is in my key signature. It's also the minor 3rd. G natural is in the key signature. That's the minor 7th. Okay, so here's the ingredients that I need for A minor 7th. Then 1-3-7 for D7. You may have noticed that when I'm reading these intervals, I always go from the lowest to the highest. Just kind of a protocol for doing that. Okay, so 1-3-7. Then finally G major 7th. Okay, I'm going to put my 2 finger on the G and fill in above. There's the major 3rd, and there's the major 7th. Okay. In the case of the B voicings, I'm not as inclined to substitute the 6th for the major 7th because it just sounds too much like a minor chord. All right, I think you'll agree that it just sounds kind of like an E minor chord. It's kind of hard to get away from that. All right, so usually I wouldn't do that. Okay, so the turnarounds or 2-5-1s using the A voicings and the B voicings. I'll come back and do another video demonstrating these for minor chords also.